So today I actually get to do something that I don't often get a chance to do, and that is review a YouTuber. But the good thing is, I like this YouTuber a lot. I actually included him in my list of my favorite YouTubers, and it's a time to celebrate an achievement. We're talking about Will Tennyson.
Oh man, I love Will Tennyson.
How can you not love Will Tennyson? Well, we're gonna review what he's up to and also stop along the way as we watch his video because there's a lot of things I think we can learn from his journey.
200 days ago, I looked like this. I was skipping workouts, eating out way too much, staying up late working and traveling, which definitely had a massive impact on my health and fitness. So what did this do? Well, it inspired me to take on the hardest challenge in the bodybuilding world that many don't even dare to attempt. Enter a bodybuilding show.
Would you ever do a bodybuilding show?
No, that's not my style. I don't, those trunks are not for me.
People have asked me all these years because I was lean.
Yeah.
Why did you not do a bodybuilding competition? I literally would be so self-conscious about getting up on stage. And it's not because I'm embarrassed of my endowment. I just can't get myself up there. I think maybe I'm too endowed to want to flaunt it up on stage. I don't know what it is, but I wouldn't do it.
I face my frenemy, the scale. This number is gonna dictate if I'm gonna enjoy my day or if I want it to be my last. 177.2 pounds. That is a new low weigh-in, my friends. To think I also started this journey at 205 pounds means I'm almost down 30 pounds.
I mean, and that's a lot of weight that he's lost here. But what's interesting, I think people are gonna be very stunned. When they saw the scale and it said 177, were you shocked?
Yeah.
The amount of muscle, and you'll see as it plays out in these training clips, the amount of muscle that Will is carrying at 177, it's a lot. But it does indicate, once again, that when you are lean, you look a lot bigger than you are. 177 pounds of body weight is by no means small, but you might think he weighed over 200 pounds now, given how he looks, but he doesn't. So it's a bit of an illusion, but it's one that you wanna use in your favor. We're gonna talk more about this as we go on, about why you wanna be able to master this, not just for a short-term bodybuilding competition, but how to master and lean this forever.
And of that, I'm convinced. I've lost a few brain cells. I've lost half an inch off my height. I've lost blah, 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 blah. I've lost my ability to speak English. I've lost my entire wardrobe. If only losing weight was as easy as losing everything else in my life.
It's real. These are definitely things that happen as you start to go into a caloric deficit and really in a more aggressive way. I want to really underscore as we play this out, the aggressiveness of preparing and getting yourself to a leaner level of body fat is really the determining factor with a lot of these negative side effects that you feel. If you can do this at a much more gradual pace that oftentimes preparing for a bodybuilding competition does not afford you, you're not gonna have as many of these side effects. And I can attest to this personally and also through others that I've worked with over the long haul of trying to get lean.
Now what I do is I start to send some pictures in my little thong, my bodybuilding thong that I just got custom ordered. I have 40% glute coverage on this one here, and then we got 60% glute coverage on this one here.
I gotta tell you, I never thought there was different levels of coverage for your glutes with a bodybuilding bikini.
And not being in the bodybuilding community, like I said, I honestly had no idea.
I definitely think that progress has been made since yesterday. I'm very happy in the photos with my quads. They're really starting to come in, starting to feather right here.
It's got huge legs.
Yeah, I wish I had legs like that.
Huge legs. I mean, honestly. And again, at 177, a lot of the body weight's right there in his legs. He looks great.
Right now, I am so flat, like it's ridiculous. I'm so flat that I actually feel like I look like I'm higher body fat than I actually am because I just feel so stringy and like crap. But it's all in the name of the game, and we just keep on depleting, keep on looking like crap, and then when show day comes, hopefully all the carbs that we carb up with makes us morph into a freaking monster.
I mean, so let's start talking about some of the psychological that goes along with trying to get this lean or even getting into bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not disparaging bodybuilding. I think it's a pursuit that a lot of people use as a great motivator, but it starts to settle in here where this body dysmorphia is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I honestly think he looks amazing at that level right there, and he feels flat, and he feels depleted, and he feels like he looks like shit, and he feels like nothing looks good.
Yeah.
That's not reality.
I can't even imagine feeling that specifically negative about myself looking that great.
Yeah, no, I mean, But as we'll see here, the grass is always greener. You always think there's more. So even when you get down to these levels, it's not enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger sometimes of pursuing these types of things.
19 days out, chest, back, and biceps workout. If I'm being honest, I don't like coming to the gym anymore. It's not fun whatsoever, which is very sad because it used to be the highlight of my day, but now it just feels like I'm surviving an anabolic zombie apocalypse at this point.
So first thing I would remark on is chest, back, and biceps. I think when you start to get to these levels of depletion and your energy just isn't where it should be, that's a lot to ask to do a chest, back, and bicep type training day. Again, there's even an opportunity here for a smarter bro split so that you can go in there focused on one muscle group and you can kind of trash it, but still conserve the energy to come back to the other muscle groups with more energy.
Do you think also limiting the sets is important in that instance because you are so fatigued?
The one benefit of this type of split is you're gonna likely limit your total volume because you have to get through those 3 different muscle groups. And you know that you've got some carryover between back and biceps, so you can actually shorten the workout a little bit. Maybe the biceps only get a couple exercises. That actually plays in your favor. But again, if it's mostly the energy that's the limiting factor here, then you might be better off, again, conserving the focus to just 1 or at best 2 muscle groups. And the lack of desire, by the way, for the workout itself could be a telltale indicator of decreased testosterone.
Oh, really?
Right? Because of the caloric deficit, because of the leanness he's getting to, your testosterone levels can drop. And it's usually when you start to miss the things that you used to like, or you lack the drive to do the things that you actually like to do, that's a good indicator that your testosterone might be dropping.
Gotcha.
First exercise, incline dumbbell, 3 sets, 8 to 10. Generally like to go heavy on the first exercise and try to maintain the same weight, same reps as I did back when I was 205 pounds. Surprisingly, I've done a pretty good job at it. So hopefully we can work up to like 115 pounds for 3 sets of 10 and I'd be super happy.
This is pretty interesting. So when you lose weight, especially he's lost almost 30 pounds, you can definitely expect to see a significant strength loss in that process. So usually at a 30-pound loss of weight, you're looking at a 10 to 15% loss in strength. There are a few things that will mitigate this though. The first thing is your experience level. So the more experienced you are, you're not gonna have as big of a strength loss as others. The second thing is the type of exercise that you're doing. Generally, lower body exercises are gonna see a bigger strength drop off than upper body exercises. All right, the third thing is the fiber composition of the muscles that you're trying to train here. And typically these type 2 fibers of the chest that are handling this heavier exercise are the ones that are more susceptible. But again, given Will's experience, he might be offsetting that a little bit. But the idea that he wants to try to do 115 pounds when he usually does 120, that's a very small drop off. You would be expecting like a 12 to 15 pound drop off, so down to maybe the 105s. If he can maintain the 115s, that would actually be pretty damn good.
With these workouts, you can't really take your time because the longer that you take, the shittier you start to feel. So you really have to kind of get through it just so you kind of feel good the entire time.
And that's what we were talking about. Like there's a cap on the amount of energy you have here. So trying to do too many muscle groups in one workout might just naturally leave the ones that are at the end to suffer more than they should. And I really believe and agree with him that those early exercises should be good key foundational movements because you are gonna start to drop off from there.
Yeah,
your
so
best effort will come early.
You want to start with the compounds and then move to the isolations after that.
Yeah, yeah. And you can see here, I mean, here he's grabbing those 115s, right? So as he does these heavy sets early, he looks good, right? He looks good. I don't think he's gonna be able to sustain this for many, many sets. But the fact that he's doing the 115s at only a 5-pound drop off is pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
You know, it's good form too. And look at the incline. I like the incline there, 30 degrees. I always talk about a low incline.
Whew. I'm happy with that. Oh my God. I think like my peak, I get the 120s for 3 sets of 10. So the fact that I'm like nearly 30 pounds down, 115s. I can't complain with that.
And he shouldn't.
No, absolutely not. That's impressive.
That's really, really, really good.
Another thing that I've really noticed is that you can't grind reps at all. It gets frustrating at times. You kind of just hit this wall that you can't control, and you kind of just have to give it up. Nope. Now I'm pissed.
So that is true too. Like the ability to grind in this more acute deficit is gonna be really, really difficult.
But as you get leaner over time, you can still grind out. Because I've seen you grind some serious reps.
I can grind pretty good. And again, I've been very lean for a long period of time. I may have gone through a transition period where I had to sort of get my body used to it and then sort of work my way back up to it. I don't even know, because that would have happened a long time ago for me. But if you do this more gradually, again, over a period that's longer than even 6 months, you're gonna find the fact that even if you lose the ability to grind early, you're gonna bounce back and find your ability to grind later.
Yeah.
So it is a transition point that you're gonna have to get yourself through. But this acute bodybuilding prep is gonna definitely cause it to be much more challenging to grind through those very difficult reps. But this is where I think you need to sort of push yourself and be able to get to those repetitions to increase the intensity, to decrease the overall length of those workouts to allow your body to recover. Okay, by the way, I just wanted to point out here, you see this incline press, great angle, and I love Will, so I'm being constructive here. When you lift your butt so far off the bench like that, you're
flat.
He's flat. He turned it into a flat bench press, right? Because when you get your hips, now everything's in line between the hips and the chest. So it's a flat bench. So his early sets, he actually was doing that where he had the ass down into the crook of the bench and he was actually doing a proper incline bench press for the upper chest. But just as you start to want to cheat, your body will always find a way around the cheat and find a way to do it.
Especially as you're more fatigued.
Definitely. So flattening it out is going to be the cheat that allows you to get those dumbbells a little higher, since we know that flat bench press is slightly stronger than your incline.
Next thing, going to be a machine press, because at this point, no more free weight. It would just not be a good idea. I just need to be more stabilized because I fatigue super quick.
I actually like the point. Yeah, I think it's an interesting point. Like, given how fatigued he is, would you rather then go do a bunch of additional free weight exercises? Like, let's say we were doing back training. Would you want to then go barbell row after doing like a heavy deadlift? The fatigue is too great to allow him to maintain proper posture on that row without necessarily potentially getting hurt. Especially when you're this close to competition, the thing that can take you out quicker than anything is an injury.
Man, it really sucks coming to the gym, and it's not about progressing and getting better. It's about maintaining best case scenario.
As you get older and you start to lose muscle and size and strength, isn't it important to try to progress in order to maintain where you're at?
So that's a very interesting point. Like, when you get older, this is a microscopic look into the concept of what Will's talking about here. But if you look at a macro level, which I'm urging you guys to do, it's actually a great thing to maintain, because as we age from decade to decade to decade, we're going to naturally lose strength and size. So if you're able to maintain size and strength as you age, you're actually gaining.
Yeah.
You're making progress by holding on to what nature is trying to rob from you, very successfully, by the way, genetically, by the way, from decade to decade to decade. So again, in the micro picture here of a few weeks or months, sure, what he's saying is right, but in a big picture, you really want to, you can benefit from actually staying the same in terms of not losing what you would normally lose.
Right.
If you don't believe in yourself, pretend to. When I first started this, the main reason I wanted to do it was because the idea of doing a show scared me. I didn't think that I had it in me. I thought I would, give in. It's just nice to make it to this point and prove to myself that this can be done, and just staying out of my head, constantly giving myself positive reinforcement. But still, this shit is hard, man.
There it is. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is why I like Will, by the way, just because he's being very transparent, and he's putting himself through something that he normally would not want to do. And I think all too often, and I am included in this, we don't step out. There's a good analogy of whether we ever let the parachute out, right? We just stand on the edge of the cliff and we never jump because we don't even know if the parachute's in there. We're doubting that there's a parachute in there. And if you jump and there's no parachute, you're done. But a lot of times, all it takes is that push, that step to get yourself off the cliff, pull that ripcord, you find the parachute, and all of a sudden, you land softly. This is one of my favorite clips. I love this clip. Watch.
Come on, Will. Come on.
I actually get goosebumps when I see that, because that is what this is all about. Like, whenever you're going to put yourself out there and do something risky, like he said, you got to dig deep. And the only person you're ever going to really have to truly face is yourself. Did you give everything you had? And if you can actually talk yourself into doing yet another rep and another rep when you least want to do it, that is truly where the real gains lie. And I just love that sort of self-talk and that drive to keep going. That's human capacity on display. Like, what you're truly capable of is usually more than what you think you are.
I really haven't changed anything from like how I would train normally to now, nor should you. I think a lot of people go through like these like drastic measures to completely transform their training. But again, like I said earlier, it's the same objective as always. You want to train to build, you want to train to maintain and keep everything. So why would you change anything?
Right, so you still train for strength. You'd focus on that early on so you're not getting weak. One of the things we did in baseball, by the way, we would still have guys train in season, but we have 162 games to play over 180 days. So we had to be very selective with what we prioritized.
Yeah.
In the training, we would prioritize strength. We wanted to maintain and hold on to their strength. We didn't want to drop off across the long season. So you do the things that matter most, but then again, he's still doing other exercises where he's working on that mind-muscle connection. He's trying to build, he's still trying to build muscle even towards the end here. You can still do all of that. I just think that you have to be very selective in terms of making sure the exercises are not overlapping too much, so you're just wasting effort doing the same thing that could have been done with one. You're being very economical with your energy resources. And again, that's the main focus here. He's not changing that approach, but as you see here, it starts to become more and more difficult.
By far, my worst pose is the front standing relaxed, unfortunately, because that's kind of like the first impression pose. The lats are weak, so we're gonna try to build them 2 weeks out. I mean, can't, but we'll try.
So, right, probably can't really build them in this last final 2 weeks, but I would give him a tip. One of the things he was doing here was, you can see he's kind of, even on this low cable row, the elbows are tucked, right? They're tucked tight. So if you want to focus more lats, you stay low. If you want to focus more upper back, you go high with the elbows and you let them drift. You could actually train the teres major a little bit more with a wider lat pull down grip and a wider cable row grip. If you're going to make any differences in terms of the final 2 weeks, when you haven't trained a muscle very much, you can start to see, even it's like the post-pump benefits that you get in those muscles, you can start to see that there. I would tell him there, focus a little bit more on that wide grip to get the teres major popping, which would give you that little extra width up at the upper top portion of your lats.
Well, I noticed that on
it's a lat helper,
I noticed even on my back, my lats aren't that big, but they look wider than they do because my teres major is pretty well developed, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, and it's the muscle that's situated right up at that upper portion of the lat. So it gives you that real extra little bit of width to the back.
I think when I started the cut, my arms were like close to 18, maybe 18. Now I've lost like probably pretty close to 2 inches off my arms, and they look like quadruple the size. Body fat is such an illusion, man. People get so fixated on scale weight, but you'd be surprised. A lot of people that you want to look like, probably way less than you think.
Well, that's like what we said before.
Yeah, so ATHLEAN-X is about creating a muscular but lean physique, one that's still capable of doing things functionally. I don't want to throw that out in pursuit of the aesthetics. However, if you want to look better at any body weight, get leaner, right? Get leaner. If you can cut your body fat levels down, your muscularity will improve. The visual muscularity will improve. I'm not a heavy guy myself, but I have a better visual because of the levels of leanness that I carry. And I do it without PEDs or looking bloated like a lot of others do, where it sort of almost starts to look grotesque. I do it in a way that's sensible, but at the same time, realizing that the leanness will always play in your favor to make you look better no matter what the body weight is.
Yeah, it's an optical illusion that works in your favor.
Yeah. By the way, his arm size, what did he say? It was that 18 inches down to 16? Like,
yeah.
That's
his arms
about
still look huge.
Yeah, that's about the same arm size that I'm at when I flex. And I think his arms look better than mine, honestly.
Yeah. Why does bicep curls feel like deadlifts, man?
There again, it's like, this point in the workout, if biceps is last for him, it's really become a grind. His curls are literally deadlifts at this point, right? So that's the part that I was talking about economically, the energy that you have going into a workout. If you try to bite off too much, you might wind up not having enough energy to put in a real high effort.
Yeah.
This is by far the most critical I've ever been with my body in my entire life. Like, my body dysmorphia is at an all-time high. Looking the best I've ever looked, all I see is like negatives. I actually see myself fatter now than when I started. I complain 90% of the time. So it kind of just shows you that, like, no matter what your goal is, when you achieve it, it's not gonna make you happy. The grass is not always greener. You know what I mean? Like, I thought I was gonna be happy like this, but every time I just look in the mirror, I'm like, I look fat. I have more to do, which is like super unhealthy. Horrible mindset.
Dysmorphia is real.
It is a horrible mindset. Like, to have to feel that way is a horrible mindset. There are times when, you know, in the last couple of years where I think as my collagen has thinned out and I'll get like a little bit looser around my midsection, where I'm sitting there actually saying to myself, and I catch myself going, you're being ridiculous, but I'll say like, my God, I don't like this. I don't like the way this looks. That is body dysmorphia, and it does set in, but it's not a guarantee of just being lean. Yeah. Right? It's not that. It's the fact that we become very critical and we become more hypercritical as we get leaner because there's more to see. Yeah. Right? When we're overweight or just fat, we go, oh, I'm fat. There's not a lot to analyze. But as you start to reveal more, I think you become more hypercritical because you can start to see muscles and muscle shapes that you maybe didn't see prior to losing the body fat.
One of the really bad things that has probably been the worst of this entire prep has been the brain fog. In like long conversations, I start slurring my words. I get kind of like more anxious. Like, my brain signals are like trying to connect, like the Wi-Fi on a Delta flight. It's just nothing is operating at full capacity. I get irritated way easier. And even if I like understand it's kind of, what's the word, unreasonable, I still can't control it.
Again, I think that's sort of going along hand in hand with that drop in testosterone. Like, because this transition to leanness has been so quick.
Drastic.
And again, 6 months is quick, you know, to achieve that level of drop. I think that's where you're seeing some of the side effects of testosterone lowering, because you're getting that brain fog, you're getting like that unreasonable nature, right? You can't accept things like that. That sounds like that to me, honestly. But usually, even just in a sleep deprived state or just being overall CNS fatigued, you will find it much harder to gather your words and articulate sentences. Yeah. It just happens.
Or if you have a lot of brain trauma like I've had.
Right, then it's a whole other case.
You really have no life when you do this. It is so all-consuming. I feel like dandelions have more exciting lives than me. Every single day, my life feels like one of those nature documentaries about some like sad animal that's like the last of their species. Yep, that's me.
There's no sustainability to this. Yes, it's sustainable enough to get to this competition, but I'm talking about making this sustainable long-term, because it really, really is, but it has to occur over a more gradual pace.
I started this process in October, so it's like 6 months of doing this, and I'm definitely a different person. I feel like I don't get excited for the same things that I normally would. I feel like I don't show as much emotion. I don't react to things in a certain way. So although I have learned so much about myself through this process, there are things that I'm really excited to get back to. That's one day of suffering. Tomorrow we'll wake up and do the exact same thing. And have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
And there's the consistency, right? Being able to do this day after day after day. However, again, when it's based off of a real deprivation approach, you cannot do this day after day. He can't wait for this to be over and get back to his donuts. I watch you, Will. I know what you're doing. The fact here, though, is if you do this at a more sustainable rate, not acutely like this, you do not have the feelings of wanting it to be over, hating life, losing track of who you are. You can still very much stay the person you are, enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the process, and reap all the benefits of being lean and muscular. Again, you don't have to have lowered testosterone even at my very low levels of body fat, I don't have decreased levels of testosterone.
Yeah.
They're still very normal, and that's because I've done this over the long haul. If you're looking, guys, for a way to do this at a more sustainable pace, that's what ATHLEAN-X is all about. You can find all of our workout programs and meal plans that kind of guide you step by step through this so you don't have these crashes up and down and still can obtain really good levels of leanness. You can find them over at athleanx.com. If you found the video helpful, make sure you leave your comments below. Also, congratulations, Will Tennyson. You deserve it. You put in the work. And again, I've always watched you. I've always liked you. So special congratulations from me to you. All right, guys. See you back here soon. Click subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a video when we put one out. See ya.